Hello all, and welcome back to the final part of my Let's Talk series where we discuss chapters 9 to 12 of Dead Space. Once again, I shall take up no more of your time, and I shall jump straight into the story elements of Dead Space. Chapter 9 begins like each chapter preceding it, with a sudden transmission from your fellow crew. Hammond abruptly cuts into your rig with a transmission informing you that he has found the munitions log for the Valor and does not believe that their presence is a coincidence. They are not on reconnaissance and are also not on the payroll. The ship is prepped for war and also on a seek and destroy mission. Hammond's feed suddenly turns to static mid-sentence where Kendra chimes in saying that there is once again no signal from Hammond's rig and informs you to find the Singularity Core and to get the hell out of there. You make your way down a tight corridor past a store to slide open the doorway to where the Valor has supposedly crashed, and once you open it, you agree to with several bright green orbs floating around in zero-G, and just past them lies the USM Valor, lodged within the USG Ishimura. Kendra contacts you immediately upon entry into the room and informs you that one of the Valor's weapons ripped open in the crash, and the green orbs are highly radioactive along with the Valor's airlock sealing itself. You will have to throw all of the radioactive green orbs into space before entering the ship. You undertake the task of setting the green orbs off into space by bringing as many as you can close to the hatch and one by one destroying each and every fuse that are holding the hatch closed. Each one can easily float off, so it is best to keep an eye on as many as you can. But of course, just as you're about to shoot them off into space, a horde of Necromorphs interrupt your plans and try to halt your progress of reaching the Valor before your air runs out. You shoot the orbs into space while also watching over your shoulder, taking out each Necromorph as you wish, and once all of the orbs are gone, you can make your way into the Valor. But you are far from safe once you step inside. As the doors to the Valor press open, you witness a creature that you've never seen up until now. A number of feet ahead of you, it's twitching and writhing. It exits to your left as Kendra connects with you to inform you of what part you need to look for. It is located within the engine room at the back of the ship. The ship's reading gives it massive damage, so Kendra warns Isaac that he may need to find alternate routes to reach his destination. As you traverse to the next room that is filled with numerous dead soldiers and wreckage strewn everywhere, Hammond makes contact once again and describes the Necromorph Infection within the soldiers. It has appeared to have altered them in some way. All of the soldiers on board had their stasis modules built into their body armor. The infection had begun to merge the stasis unit into their flesh, which resulted in making them move extremely fast. Solving a quick little puzzle, the first of the infected soldiers finds you and makes a beeline for you. He takes you off guard and is a challenge to take down, as it is unlike any other enemies that you've encountered before. This enemy is known as the Twitcher, which has erratic movement and spasms, greatly making it a harder target to hit, which brings your own stasis module into play for good measure, where a well-placed stasis hit can slow down the Twitcher, greatly giving you ample time to react and decimate it. If I miss any twitches with a stasis shot myself, I wait until it reaches Isaac. I take it down with a fully loaded line gun shot, which can do great damage up close. It helps when multiple twitchers attack also. Isaac gets treated with another message from Nicole, this time with a skull flashing where her face was situated very briefly before disappearing. Hammond tries to locate your position but cannot reach you as the ship is nearly shredded in half. He has made it to the bridge where it is an absolute mess. He's going to override the door lock so you can get to the engine room, and he will try and catch up with you. Once you make your way to a lift, Dr. Terrence makes contact with you through your rig. He mentions that he doesn't have a lot of time and tells you that if you really can repair the shuttle, you will have a much better use for it rather than running away. He says that the forces at work here are greater than you can imagine, and if you leave now, you condemn all of humanity. The planet will never stop, never rest, unless the marker is returned. He says that the church is wrong and that it is all a trap. He has seen it and finally asks you one last time to help him. A very interesting moment occurs once you leave the lift. Straight ahead of you, you witness a man latched onto the ceiling through a gravity panel. He has no escape unless the gravity panel is turned off. You can try to take pity on him, but once you aim and try to shoot and put him out of his misery, Isaac just puts his tool down straight away. You can't take him out. You only have to leave him. After a numerous amount of Necromorphs attempt to attack you, you take each of them down and discover a shooting gallery, which is one of the very rare instances in the game where you can take your time and somehow enjoy yourself and try to rack up a high score. In doing so, you can get rewarded with ammo, health items, and at the end, a power node, which is extremely beneficial in your playthrough for upgrades. Once you finish up in the shooting gallery, you make your way into the hallway to find another soldier cradling his leg and then passes away, which is is a sign of what's to come within the next room. You enter the room and are immediately greeted by a Twitcher speeding directly towards you, but gets sliced into pieces with the nearby laser surgical machine, which has become unstable thanks to the crash into the USG Ishimura. You must guide yourself through the lasers and time your movements perfectly or end up like the Twitcher before you. A shot of stasis of the machine also helps with getting by. Once you get past the laser machine room, you come across a boss fountain level of ammo and health, along with a save point for arguably one of the hardest areas within the game. For me, I absolutely hate this room, but with this recent playthrough, I felt a little bit more confident. You enter what seems to be the sleeping quarters for the crew, and like many rooms before you, once you take a certain number of steps inside, a quarantine lockdown begins, and you have every available enemy thrown at you for an incredible challenge. If you were like me and like to have your back protected, then this room will not help. It is large enough and has many enemies protruding from each vent that backing into a corner is not easy and you can easily get swarmed. From my playthrough here, you can see that I'm much more cautious as I take a body and use the gravity panel to eviscerate it, along with making sure no other bodies are available to become necromorphs. Once the lockdown begins, you're greeted with a pregnant, several leapers, several lurkers, numerous amounts of twitchers, and some exploders to top it all off. As you can see, I'm trying to clock everything in the room and keep an eye on my surroundings while trying to use crowd control with the Ripper. I realised that the pulse rifle's secondary action is a drop down crowd control ability, but I was never a fan of it and I rarely used it. After the absolute scare of your life, you round up your health and ammo drops and exit as quick as you can. Before you do, you recover a text log from the Chief of Staff for Earth Defense, with the attention of Commander Cadigan F. for Operation White Light, with the project being Deep Cleanse. It contains info that they know that the Ishimura has come into possession of the marker and that infection by a lethal organism is a credible threat. They were ordered to chock point to the Aegis system, move to position out of local scope range, and to away a signal from the Ishimura to confirm location. You come across the stuck man once again, and even at this close range, you are still unable to relieve him from this nightmare. You witness a man running for his life but cannot reach him as he escapes, which brings you into the final room for your time aboard the USM Valor. You must make your way through the fire boosters of the engine whilst protecting yourself with a movable anchor, along with destroying the fuses to stop the engines from firing. It is very easy to catch fire if you are not careful, but it does bring you an animation for Isaac that brings a chuckle to myself. You must do this on both sides to reach the Singularity Core. You grab the core and make a run for the downstairs area where Kendra contacts you. She is elated that you were able to recover the core and says you must make it to the crew deck, but once you try to, you come across Hammond making his way to you. He says that he was trying to reach you but his comm is down, but he's happy that you're able to retrieve the core. He yells to get it to the shuttle and to forget about him as an enhanced brute comes bursting through the doors. Hammond tries his best to fend off the brute, but he is charged, ripped apart, and battered to death, while you must also watch him from behind a glass wall and cannot do anything to help. The brute rams Hammond's body through the glass wall, and with the brute coming for you, all you can hear is Hammond's pulse flatline as you fight for your own life. The enhanced brute takes a bit longer to take down than the other regulars. With some well-placed stasis shots along with attacking its back, you can take it down in no time. You grab your reward from taking down the brute, and you make your way out to hear Kendra explaining that you two are the last ones left now with Hammond's vitals being lost. You run as fast as you can through the Valor, as it is on fire and exploding at every turn. You jump back towards the Ishimura's airlock through the zero gravity to be greeted with a new friend aboard the Ishimura. Take him down as quick as possible, or else all of what you've worked for will be for nothing. Kendra contacts you immediately once you reach the crew deck, where she discovers the shuttle that Hammond had found, but alas, it is brain dead. Someone has removed the navigation cards, and that there are 3 of them scattered around the deck, so she is downloading their locations. She does not have access to the doors from where she is, so you will need a crew key to gain said access. If you get all of the parts, then it just might be possible to get the shuttle operational once again. As you take the first steps into the crew's quarters, you already feel that something bad has happened here. Something isn't right. The entire crew here have committed mass suicide in coincidence with the marker. They are all unitologists. Their faces have been masked with cloths with religious unitology scripture carved into the floor and walls, with candles placed carefully around in an eerie manner. You can hear faint whispers and song as you try to make your way through the area and try to make sure that you yourself do not go mad. You find an article on unitology by Carrie Van Otken, where she goes on about unitology becoming a well-renowned and respected religion, and briefly goes over its history and how Michael Altman, a professor of anthropology, blew the whistle on what he claimed was the biggest cover-up ever instituted by Earth government, the discovery of an artifact known as a marker, biggest cover-up beyond any doubt that there is alien life in the universe. I'll delve into much more detail of Michael Altman and the history of unitology, and also the marker within a future video. You come across the evil Callous Mercer once again, where he is tied up and is torturing Temple, the man who has left behind all of those audio logs that have have helped you up until this point, when you were also believed that he has met up with Dr. Elizabeth Cross. But alas, Mercer alludes to Cross not being with us anymore, where he says that she had faith and now she awaits her transformation, her rebirth, and asks Temple if he is ready for his also. Temple desperately tries to wriggle free from his imprisonment, but cannot escape as Mercer drives the end of an infector's spike directly into Temple's forehead. He yells, "Witness the conviction of a true believer. They are ready. Take them. Embrace them," clearly continuing his descent into madness. You make your way into the room where Mercer just murdered Temple and hear the now familiar cry of necromorphs. You cautiously make your way around the floor, which has partial stickiness due to the infection that is spreading throughout the ship. The second you make your way down the lift, you hear that familiar cry and are bombarded with two dividers aiming for you, with numerous divider spawn circling the area waiting to attack you. You grab one of the shuttle navigation cards and attempt to leave the area when Dr. Kine interrupts and is adamant about speaking with you. He's very close to your position and he knows that you will want to hear what he has to say. He can explain all of this and how it has happened. A guardian lurks around the next corner and can quickly be taken care of, which brings you to a locked room where you have to do an override to undo it. The tentacle returns to drag you down to the depths of the Ishimura, but you are well versed in dealing with it and take it out once again, which brings you through some of the more striking and startling rooms in the game. Several rooms with zero life support and startling white contrast from system climate malfunction disorientate you, as you're so used to the dark and murky aspects of the Ishimura. This brings a different pace to the gameplay in my eyes, as you have less air and the crew quarters are so jumbled up it is very easy to get disorientated and not realize where you are going, which can lead to an untimely end. You grab your second nav card and go forth in search of the final card. You make your way back to the beginning of the crew deck to guide yourself to the next area, wherein through all of the horror and death, you can relax by playing some zero-G basketball. It's unlike anything you've played up until this point, and it's a fun little extra bit that the developers threw in just for a laugh. If you make your way back to the crew deck hub area to perhaps buy more items in the shop or save your game, you will be attacked by several necromorphs though, including an infector, from where in my gameplay, I cautiously dismembered all of the corpses in the room as I remembered an infector coming in and creating new necromorphs from my previous playthroughs, and I wanted to anticipate that as much as I possibly could. Once you come to the end of the elevator journey, you hear the voice of Dr. Mercer possibly talking to someone asking how could they abandon the church in this vital hour and not to abode their faith. What is happening to the colony is not a tragedy. It is God's work. He exclaims that he is happy to have found a marker on the planet below. This seems to be where Mercer truly begins his descent into madness, as he talks about ascending and transformations. Whomever he was talking to seems to have left before him and calls out for them to not listen to them and to come back. What Mercer had going on did not seem to go 100% according to plan. This message was delivered through a video logcast to numerous rooms around the crew's quarters, which you could discover playing on an endless loop while dealing with numerous amounts of necromorphs. You must divert several beds around like a mini puzzle to make your way through the crew's sleeping area, where you discover a small isolated number of people who have also committed mass suicide, and discover one lone person laughing to themselves and proceeds to shoot themselves in the head. They were far too gone to be helped. Behind the mass amounts of bodies, you find the final nav card needed for the shuttle, and upon picking it up, Mercer lets you know that you've been most resourceful up until now, and that his creation is free, and immediately sets the hunter loose on you once more. As you try to escape from the hunter, it hits you that all of the crew's bunks you've moved now have blocked your escape route and kept you within the hunter's reach. You frantically try to readjust each bunk to try and escape, but without any quick thinking and movement, it can be an early grave for Isaac. Before I reached the area with the last nav card, I readjusted each bunk to greatly advantage my own escape route so that I can duck out as quickly as possible, shooting stasis of the hunter to slow him down whilst taking out any other enemies as quickly as possible. Mercer overrides a door lock of the next room for you to try and escape through, which leaves you alone with the hunter and other enemies to try and last as long as possible until Kendra unlocks your way out. As you survive these tense moments with the hunter in such an enclosed space, Kendra lifts the override and you may escape with some kind words from Terrence Kine. He is delighted with your work and wants to meet you in an exclusive area, and to be quick, the door is unlocked so you can gain access quickly. Upon your arrival, you find Kine seemingly talking to his wife, but she is nowhere to be found. He quickly realizes that you are in his presence. He has been following your progress and wants you to repair the executive shuttle and to leave this place, but says that escape is impossible at this point. The shuttle's checkpoint drive is destroyed. He frantically calls out to not lose hope, and that he had lost hope at first. He tried to scuttle the ship, sabotage the systems, but says that Amelia changed things. He says that the church believes that the marker is divine, but that they do not know what has happened here, nor what has been released, and proceeds to show you a creature of pure horror. It was found in the core of the planet, and that Mercer calls it the Hive Mind. It's the source of everything that is happening. It controls the Necromorphs telepathically. He says that Amelia knew that it could be stopped by returning the marker to the planet. The marker was containing it within the planet. He asks to return the marker and to seal the Hive Mind. He apologizes to Amelia and admits to bearing much of the responsibility for this tragedy, and now he must take responsibility for ending it and to atone for his sins, and enlists Isaac's help to repair the shuttle, bring the marker back on board, and then he can both end this forever. He unlocks the door next to you to make your way to the repair shuttle, but you must make your way through several pregnants and other terrors. You pick up a personal entry into the captain's log. Captain Matthias wants to set the record straight. By the time this log is heard, his actions will have been vindicated. He is indeed a unitologist. He says that it is no secret that they shouldn't be in this star system, and that it is just another illegal mining job for the company, in that is until the Connolly found the marker, and that is when the church took interest and chose Matthias to lead this pilgrimage, and also ensured that many of the mission crew were devout. His primary instruction was to get the marker up from the Connolly and on board the ship. Dr. Kine is an expert on the original marker and was tasked with deciphering the new one. He said that Kine is making good progress and the captain's decision to quarantine the Connolly was sound. He mentions the epidemic that had happened upon Aegis 7 and he cannot allow it to infect the ship, not with such precious cargo. This log takes place the day before the planet crack. They will continue to decipher the marker and that when they return home, pass on their findings onto the church. He mentions that the government isn't going to cover this one up and praises Altman before ending his log. You then enter into what can be described as a mini boss area with the Hunter once again. It is the shuttle bay which contains the shuttle that Kine has tasked you with repairing. You activate the nav cards on board the shuttle where Kine tells you to wait there and that he's on his way. You test fire the shuttle, which brings upon the return of the Hunter and also an act on finding out how to defeat him. It took me a minute to realize that I need to blast the shuttle's engine whilst the Hunter is frozen in place behind them. So your task is to lure the Hunter to the area behind the shuttle's engine and to stasis him. It would be best to stasis and then cut him down just to his torso and then stasis him again so that his regeneration time takes much longer. Once you take care of him, you run back to this small room where he reappeared, fire up the shuttle's engine and witness the end to a massive thorn in your side in a very satisfying and cathartic way. Once the Hunter is gone, Kine appears and is ecstatic that the engine works. He says that the shuttle needs to be released before launch. He needs to guide you through the unlocking procedure while he starts the shuttle's engines and that this will make us whole again. He will take the shuttle up to the flight deck where the marker is being held. You are locked in the room as you must help Kine on the shuttle. He patches through saying that he is en route to the flight deck and to meet him there, and he can both load the marker on board and signs off by talking to Amelia once more. Kendra makes her way through again, wondering if Kine is crazy or not, but you do need that shuttle and just says to keep him on your side for now. Once the door unlocks, you can run over to where the Hunter was massacred and pick up a power node, which will be handy for future upgrades. Before you can even make your way to the transport hub, Mercer logs in and says that your time has come and that there's no need to be frightened. No reason to fight. Many have gone before us, and now is the time for us to take the voyage together, transcend death, and let the future take its course. He asks you to join me as I gaze upon the face of God, as he kneels down and then allows an infector to take his body. Dr. Kine is the one to greet you at the start of this chapter for a change of pace, where he informs you that he's approaching the shuttle hangar and that you must find your way to the cargo bay. The marker is being stored in there. There is a cargo loading lift there you can use to deliver the marker up to the hangar. He asks you to please help him with this, as it is the only way. You enter into a large room with a bridge situated within the center. You can already see that the area is absolutely crawling with necromorphs. You must activate the terminal to receive the marker, but I normally go around the long way to take out all of the enemies before I try to get the marker and to grab all of the ammo and other goodies that are lying around. Once you take out what you can and also take what you can, you activate the cargo terminal to bring the marker to your location. A magnetic crane disappears down below in front of you, and within seconds, the red marker appears before you in all its glory. Once the marker is within your grasp, numerous hordes of necromorphs barge their way into a cargo area to try and stop you from taking it. The Hive Mind is trying in all of its power to stop you from achieving your goal. You can never catch a break, as even after a brawl of enemies attack you, once you even try to start moving the marker, more attacks along with tentacles from the Hive Mind hidden below rise above to try and slam you away from what it protects. Once you achieve your goal to bring the marker to the transport area to head to the hangar bay, Kendra informs you that she has restored power to the elevator and to take it up to the hangar bay and to get the marker onto the shuttle. She's heading up to the flight deck now and asks for luck as she prepares to run. You re-enter into the arrival arrival area of the USG Ishimura, where you once tread before at the very beginning of the game. You re-enter this area a much different soul, as where you once entered as an engineer of unknown thought as to what is happening, you now return an experienced, battle-weary warrior, ready to end it all. Kind contacts you once you are about to make your way into the bay and says that he's going to dock the shuttle. As he is bringing it in, he says that the automated loading controls are not responding and that you will have to shut down gravity in the hangar bay and then manually bring the marker directly beneath the shuttle. A handy time to grab yourself a trophy or an achievement. This is the only time where you can grab the Peng treasure, where I mentioned earlier is situated down in one of the docking areas. Use Kinesis to grab it and you have yourself a nice trophy, and all you have to do with this is maybe sell it. Once you deactivate the gravity, you can make your way down to the area beneath the shuttle. Through blasting many necromorphs, you pass the marker along a guided track to the shuttle while shifting around different corners so the path is correct. Every amount of movement from the marker brings upon more and more necromorphs, each as dangerous as the last, many of them being advanced versions of their previous selves. Kind is happy with the marker being in position, but requests that gravity being restored, as he should be able to load the marker then. With the gravity restored, Kind video messages you requesting you to come and join him on board the shuttle, as together you can both stop this hive mind and to end the nightmare at last. Once you make your way to the entrance of the shuttle, you see a glimmer of hope, with Kind waving you on board. And then a shot rings out as Kind's chest bursts into a splatter of blood. He crumbles to his knees, asking out to Amelia as he dies before your very eyes, leaving you in a state of anger and confusion as to what has transpired, as that was no ordinary shot. It was from a PSEC pistol. The shuttle leaves the hangar as Kendra Daniels videos you. She apologized, saying that she couldn't let Kind go through with it. She thanks him for finding the marker and says they didn't even need any help from the Valor, and finally thanks you for helping her find it. Her department had been looking for Aegis 7 for a long time. Kind did not realize that this was the government's mess to begin with. The whole planet was just one big experiment. She reveals that the marker was made by man. It was reverse engineered a couple of 100 years ago from the real marker, a true alien artifact recovered on Earth. They dug it up, studied it, and made it their own. They then brought it to Aegis 7 and activated it. They sealed the system and no one would have been the wiser. But then CEC blunders in and starts tearing the planet apart. The experiment was still alive. Kind was right about the hive mind, she says. The marker would contain it, but all of it doesn't matter anymore. She has the marker now, and this entire system can go to hell. She says that, for what it's worth, you did a great job, Isaac. See you around. Or maybe not. Suddenly, just as Kendra's transmission cuts out, Nicole jumps straight in asking you to help her and to find her at the control room. Once you try to enter the control room, a guardian along with its pods try to stop you from entering. Once you take care of these enemies and enter into the room, unitology script is flashing upon the screen everywhere with Nicole at its hub. She asks, is it really you? And says that she never thought that you two would be alone together again. She apologizes for what she did. She never wanted to hurt you. She says that you need to get back now. You can pilot the shuttle remotely from here, make us whole again. Make us whole again. You activate the remote control access to the shuttle, to Kendra's dismay. She says that this is not over between the two of you, and that you are making a big mistake. Kendra escapes to an escape pod to avoid her fate with you, but Nicole calmly tells you that it doesn't matter. She can't escape. None of us can. Nicole reprograms the shuttle once it comes back on board and tells you to get on. You take your seat as Nicole appears in the seat next to you and tells you that you are doing the right thing. You are both together now, the way it always should have been. She knew that you would come back for her. Nothing can stop you now. The chapter begins as you make your exit out of the shuttle to Nicole's already situated on the landing area, telling to use one of the loaders to get the marker off of the shuttle. Aegis 7 really is a sight to behold for the planet crack that has happened. You can see where the piece of the planet was taken up in front of you, and also, to look up, you can see the tethers on the planet going from the Ishimura holding it into place just above you. As you prepare to take the marker off of the shuttle, to your surprise, you notice that you have not yet been attacked by any necromorphs. This leaves room for concern as you're on edge the entire time, just waiting for what will happen next. Upon your entry indoors, you notice an infector beyond a glass window lying in wait, as Nicole tells you that you must return the marker to the pedestal chamber and to use the loader to bring it there and bring it back. You can see many bodies strewn about the place, and at this stage, dead bodies along with an infector equal bad news, and you can stomp these bodies to try and stop any more necromorphs from being created and to take down the infectors themselves. You find an audio log from Sergeant Newman from PSEC. All shuttles have been lost. One took off and then proceeded to crash straight back into the bay. It took a couple of hundred people along with all of the remaining shuttles with it. He warns anyone listening to this not to land. Do not land. When you try to bring the power source to the door to continue bringing the marker to the pedestal, a divider surprises you and tries to stop you. From here on out, your job is to guide the marker from room to room while surviving. The first room involves many small bridges that you must stasis to move the marker through, but you get hit with a quarantine and must take down many tough enemies. But all over your experience throughout the game, it really pays off for all these necromorphs, which are really just mainly advanced necromorphs. You can truly see how the majority of the people situated upon the colony went insane with the discovery of the marker by the incoherent scramble ramblings along the wall, along with the ontology script that dominates. The small room filled with bridges brings you to a large room, universally taken over with the infection. It dominates the walls and the floors. Nicole says that you have to restore power to move the marker through this area. Look for a control station at the end of the maintenance tube, which is perfectly blocked by 2 guardians, which takes some time to take down carefully. The maintenance tube has 0 gravity, which can easily confuse and disorientate, but you must not let this deter you as you make your way through the tube along with facing more necromorphs. Upon reaching the control station, you reactivate the power and make your escape back out along with a new challenge in not getting sliced into 2 thanks to the fans that have been reactivated. Your reactivation of the power summons an advanced brute, which can be easily taken down provided you still have enough ammo and stasis left. If not, then there are numerous stasis points dotted around the room where you can recharge. Bringing the marker through the next in-between area brings you back outside to gaze upon the sun, blaring its beams down upon you as you try to undo this awful tragedy. This ends up being one of the hardest areas of the game, as you must battle several advanced enemies along with twitchers upon twitcher where there seems to be no end. Keep your wits about you and stay calm, and take down each enemy accordingly to continue bringing the marker back home. The Hive Mind reappears with its tentacles once again for you to try and take down, but yet still Necromorphs just won't stop, and they even seem angrier than normal. You finally bring the marker back to its pedestal, where Nicole for some reason appears from behind the marker and thanks you for making you whole once again, and then vanishes to your confusion as the marker sends out a mighty shockwave which deactivates the geo-orbital gravity tethers, and the tectonic load has been released with impact being imminent. You must evacuate immediately. You leave through the Decontamination Chamber, which locks you in with shutters appearing before you, and once they drop, from the other side of the glass, Kendra is standing before you. She asks if you really thought she was just going to let you walk away. The marker is going with her. She sarcastically laments that she was starting to like you, even if you are insane, which catches you off guard. Kendra tells you to watch the video that Nicole sent you once again, but this time to watch it to the very end. Sure enough, the video plays out and you see Nicole taking her own life at the end, and we see Isaac overcome with emotion, burying his hand in his face. Kendra says that you were insane, just like Ein, the captain, and saying that Nicole was dead this entire time. Whatever you were seeing was caused by the marker. You were its pawn. She says it will be in good hands now and taken away from this damn place, and says her last goodbyes. She escapes back where you brought the marker, and you make your way to the landing bay through the side route, whilst picking up any health, power nodes, and upgrade your weapons. You come out onto the landing bay with the area slightly changed, where you see Kendra making her way back to the escape shuttle with the marker in tow. The Hive Mind attacks Kendra, whipping her into the wall and immediately killing her, to where the Hive Mind finally makes its grand appearance, and it is time to finally end this. You must avoid the large tentacles of the Hive Mind while strafing back and forth along with blowing up the yellow pustules in its mouth one by one. At a certain point, the Hive Mind will grab you and hang you upside down, where you must destroy more of the pustules before you are eaten alive. If done successfully, you'll be thrown back down to the ground with necromorphs being thrown at you to take out, along with shooting more pustules in the stomach area of the Hive Mind, all while strafing back and forth, avoiding the tentacles. Once you've destroyed everything within the Hive Mind, it dies and slides off the side of the planet back to the depths to where it came. Isaac frantically runs up into the shuttle and hits the outer region of the planet to witness Eater-7 being blown to pieces. The final scene plays out with Isaac taking off his helmet for us to witness his face and to see him lament over what has just happened, along with switching off the video from Nicole to sit down and just think. But he doesn't have long to think, as the body of Nicole attacks Isaac to his right. The screen flashes with unitology and cuts to black. And so, this brings us to the very end of the very first Dead Space. This brought about one of the best stories in gaming for myself to a close, and made me rethink how horror is done and open up so many doors in the genre for me. It changed my life in some regards and became my favourite gaming franchise of all time. I still continue to collect memorabilia to this day, and I'm always on the lookout for a possible continuation of the series, even after EA took down Visceral Games. I hope to create many more Let's Talk series, including Dead Space 2 and 3, along with Extraction, Severed and Awakened. I want to delve more into the lore of Dead Space, so I'll be looking into all aspects of the franchise. Thank you for being so patient with me in this 3-part video series and sticking with me. Stay tuned for more Dead Space content, along with some brand new content within the horror genre and beyond. Altman be praised.